Every board eventually faces the moment when what customers need today and what the business needs for tomorrow start pulling in opposite directions. And there's no formula that resolves it. Calvin Butler, president and CEO of Exelon, oversees one of the largest utility holding companies in the country, where affordability pressures and multi decade infrastructure bets collide in real time, forcing exactly this kind of judgment call. In this segment, he joins us to talk about how directors can hold on to long term conviction when everyone around the table is watching the next quarter, and how to tell the difference between smart preparation for an uncertain future and an expensive bet that never pays off. Calvin, customer affordability and long term investment often pull in opposite directions. From a board perspective, how should directors evaluate those trade offs without sacrificing either near term trust or future competitiveness?
No, Bill, I love the way you frame the question, but I would tell you, you can't sacrifice one or the other because I believe we need to look at them as a board as are they adding value to the customers that we have the privilege and responsibility to serve? Because from an investment standpoint for us, reliability is foundational. So then the affordability, the customers are experiencing it, and you can't just negate what they're feeling. So what we have tried to do is express it in terms of the value offering of what the company is bringing to the table, and what if you did not do X, that will be the consequence. And then say, can we partner together to come to a mutual conclusion? Because it's not going away anytime. Customers and the communities are feeling the strain in this high interest rate environment and the cost of everyday goods going up. So from a management and a board perspective, you have to address that issue proactively and be very intentional about your efforts.
Many boards are being asked to make decisions today whose payoff may not be visible for 5, 10, or even 20 years. What governance practices help directors maintain conviction in long term investments when investors, customers, and other stakeholders are focused on immediate results?
The balance in long-term decision making for short-term impact, that's always the challenge. So you root yourself in a core foundational strategy. Are you in alignment on the long-term strategy and vision of the organization? And if you are, you have to give latitude to effectuate it. Now, what I'm saying is you have to be able to pivot and willing to pivot. But I provided my board, my personal board, and my leadership team a book called Go Long. It was a book by Dennis Carey, I believe it was. And it talks about why a long-term strategy is best. And long-term thinking is the best long-term strategy because you have to be anchored on something. And if you don't, and I always think of your anchor being values and customer. And then if you treat both of those with respect and really manage, the rest of it takes care of itself. And that is how we operate the business. Now, understand, you have to be, and we must be willing to answer the tough questions on because we are being measured, rightfully or wrong, quarter to quarter and annually. And achieving those results. Because when you look at my business, for as an example, many of the investments in which we make, our customers will never see. But I cannot stop investing in cyber and physical security because if something were to go wrong, you would hold me accountable for that. But that's $400 to $500 million annually. You can put that in perspective, and you have to allow management to make the case, and then as a director to ensure that the proper oversight and you're getting the value from those investments. If you think about technology investments, most technology investments aren't immediate payoffs, but it's setting you up for the long term to deliver that ultimate value. And that is why you have to have long term thinking.
Preparing for the future often requires boards to make bets amid enormous uncertainty, whether around technology, regulation, geopolitics, or consumer behavior. How can directors distinguish between prudent preparation and expensive speculation?
I think the best thing that a director can do is keep themselves educated on where the sector and the industry is going. You should always, as a director, understand the benchmarking of the business. Are you benchmarking against others in your category? And are you best in class? Where do you fall within that spectrum? And hold yourselves accountable to it. A lot of times, we don't hold the management team accountable to being the best. And if they are saying, hey, we're not interested in being the best in class because that doesn't fit our business model. Okay, so what is that strategy? Understanding, going back to that core strategy and understanding the metrics that build up to that strategy will allow you to understand the investments and the long-term thinking once again of where you're going. Because this is what we do know. The metrics don't lie. And understanding where the industry benchmarks are will set you on a course to continue to move the business or help move the business forward with the management team.
Looking ahead 10 years, what capabilities, perspectives, or expertise do you believe boards will need to oversee major transitions successfully? And where do you see boards still falling short today?
I think as boards continue to develop, I think it's even more critical over the next 10 years to maintain an agility in being able to pivot and to think creatively. And when I say think creatively, I'm not saying creative with the numbers. I'm saying thinking about the business model. Because what we find now is that industries are transforming quicker today than they probably ever have with the advent of AI, and so forth. So technology is impacting business in ways that it hasn't in a long time. And if, as a board member and as boards, if you're not able to pivot and be open to changing how you've traditionally done business, I think you will be left behind. So what that requires is that you have to have a diverse, and I say diverse, not just gender and race, but diverse of experiences and diversity of thought sitting around the table to challenge the status quo. I have the privilege of serving on many boards and having served on others. And what I found is that the best boards are boards that encourage open discussion and thought and challenge each other respectfully. And that is where you know you're getting a robust conversation and keep holding management accountable and allowing management to run the business, but you're offering critical insight from your own previous experience.